Burbank to the stand. You want me to go?
Yes.
Okay.
You're going to be my Jesse.
Oh.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Jesse Burbank.
Now, Mr. Burbank, what do you do for a living?
I'm on the board of directors of Holt Animation Studios, and I'm also a senior editor
And where is Holt Animation Studios located?
in the state of Quinnipiac.
And do you know the defendant, Mr. Holt?
Yeah, I work with him.
Okay. And did you know Miss Park?
Yeah, she also worked at Holt Animation Studios.
And what was your relationship like with Miss Park?
We're pretty close friends.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit more about how close of friends you were?
We get lunch a lot, and we also worked on the same animation feature called The Fantastics.
Now, Mr. Burbank, I'd like to talk to you about the day that Miss Park died. Where were you that day?
We were on the Lightning Mountain Railroad.
Okay, and where is the Lightning Mountain Railroad located?
It's located in Willie's Wild West World. It's one of the theme parks that our company owns.
And why were you at the theme park that day?
We had a company retreat, like a team bonding event at the park.
Okay, and Miss Park was there?
Yeah, and Mr. Holt.
Okay, and what exactly happened at this company retreat?
Well, at the retreat, Mr. Holt gave an announcement that he was expanding the park and also gave an apology to Miss Park.
Okay, and would Miss Park normally have been at this company retreat?
No, she didn't like hanging around a lot of people in the company.
Objection. The answer is speculative.
Your Honor, assuming we're outside the presence of the jury, if this witness is allowed to testify, I believe he will only be speaking to his knowledge of what Miss Park had told him following the sexual harassment lawsuit being filed.
What did Ms. Park tell him?
Just that she didn't trust the defendant, she didn't feel comfortable being around him at all.
So I believe what this witness was saying is she didn't feel comfortable being in the crowd. Is that right? She didn't like this type of event, I believe is what the witness said. Correct me if I'm wrong, is that what you said?
No, I believe you're right, Your Honor.
So how would her feeling uncomfortable being with, assuming the statement is a hearsay, but how would her being uncomfortable being around the defendant transition to, I don't like crowds?
I don't think it does, Your Honor, and I'd like to rephrase my question.
Sure.
Can I assume it's sustained?
It's sustained, yes.
And then I'd ask for a motion to strike.
Yeah, granted.
Why did the defendant invite Miss Park to the company retreat?
Objection calls for speculation.
Does he know why the defendant invited Ms. Park? Does the defendant maybe tell him why he invited Ms. Park?
The defendant didn't tell him directly, but he was there that day and he saw the exact reason she was invited.
He saw the reason.
Yeah,
I don't really know what that means.
well, the defendant invited Miss Park to the event to apologize to her, and he was present in the crowd and watched that apology unfold.
Did he see the defendant apologize to Ms. Park?
Yes, he did.
Okay. Overruled.
So, Mr. Burbank, why did the defendant invite Miss Park to the company retreat that day?
Mr. Holt wanted to welcome back Miss Park to the company after the sexual harassment allegation.
And was the defendant the only one named in that lawsuit?
It was the defendant and Holt Animation Studios, our company.
Permission to approach the witness, Your Honor.
Granted.
Approaching with what has been pre-marked as Exhibit 3, the email.
I thought the fingerprint was pre-marked as Exhibit 3.
Pre-marked Exhibit 4.
I see.
This would be 5, I believe. The defendant's statement, I believe, is 4.
Oh, okay. Well, then 5. Can you tell the jury what I just handed you?
It's an email that I sent to the board of directors asking for Lee Holt's resignation.
And is it in the same or substantially the same condition as when you last sent it?
Yeah, it's the same email.
Okay. Thank you. And why were you asking for the defendant's removal from the board?
Objection?
So, assuming we'll set the presence of the jury, this hasn't been offered into evidence yet. Before you offer this into evidence, please don't discuss sort of the content of the email.
Your Honor, the state moves to enter this into evidence as trial exhibit 5.
Objection, hearsay.
Why isn't this email hearsay?
This email is not hearsay because the defendant was already aware of the email based on the statement that was read to the jury earlier today, and it was drafted by the witness himself.
Going to be drafted by the witness part. Not relevant to a hearsay analysis.
It goes to show the intent that the email had on the defendant himself, leading to the death of Ms. Park.
So, are you saying it's being offered for a non-hearsay purpose?
Yes.
What purpose is that?
It goes to show the intent of the defendant.
Your Honor, in order for something to satisfy 8033, a statement of intent, the declarant must be expressing their intent. If the intent being offered by Mr. Desko here is that the defendant intended to kill Ms. Park, then we have to have a statement of that intent. This email is not even from the defendant, so it could not possibly be a declarant statement about his intent.
Do have that statement, Your Honor. It was already read into evidence prior to Mr. Burbank taking the stand.
So, I think what you're getting at is something a little different. You said you're using it as a non-hearsay purpose, but then you said you're offering it to show intent, which would be hearsay, just an exception to hearsay. I think what you're saying is this is not hearsay, it's being used as something else other than the truth of the matter.
Yes, you're right, Your Honor.
Your Honor,
What are you offering it for?
We're offering it while this is hearsay, Your Honor, we are offering it to show
Are you sure you're offering it to show notice that the defendant knew that maybe his job was in jeopardy?
yes, Your Honor, we are
Which
showing.
is not hearsay,
You're right.
right?
Yes.
What do you have to say to that?
if it was that, or if the offer of proof was a statement of intent of Mr. Burbank's, I would withdraw my objection. Either one.
Is it that?
It is that, Your Honor.
I'm glad we could work through that civilized. Or civilized, yeah.
That's how we do things in the civil.
Now, Mr. Burbank, why were you calling for the defendant's removal from the board?
Well, after the sexual harassment claim, it was in the media, and so it was bad publicity for the company. And I thought it was unprofessional to have our CEO sexually harassing employees.
Now, after Mr. Holt gave his speech, did anything else happen at this company retreat?
Yeah, after he announced that he was expanding the park and he gave his apology to Miss Park, he announced that we were going on a scavenger hunt.
Okay, and was this the scavenger hunt was throughout the entire park?
Yep, it was throughout the entire park.
Okay, and did everyone work in a big group? Were there separate groups?
There was our group was 6. I was one of 6. There was also Mr. Holt was in the group and Miss Park was in the group as well.
Now, would Miss Park normally have been in this group with you?
No, this group mostly consisted of members of the board, but Mr. Holt requested that Miss Park be in the group so Mr. Holt could welcome back Miss Park.
And how did your group do on the scavenger hunt?
We were doing well. We had 59 of the 60 hidden willies in the park, and that led us to Lightning Mountain Railroad.
Mr. Burbank, I'd like to talk about how Miss Park died. You stated that you were on the Lightning Mountain Railroad roller coaster?
Yeah.
Is that correct? Okay. Can you describe this roller coaster to me?
Yeah, well, it's a roller coaster. It does 3 loops, and it also does several cobra rolls, and passengers get into like a mining car.
All right, and how many seats are in this mining car?
The mining car has 6 seats. There's 3 rows with 2 seats in each row.
And where were you sitting in this car?
I was sitting in the 3rd row.
Okay, and was the defendant in your car?
Yeah, he was sitting in the 1st row next to Miss Park.
Okay, and are there any safety mechanisms on this ride?
There are several. There's a safety harness that goes over your shoulders, and there's also a safety bar that comes down onto your lap.
And this safety bar, does it ever lock in place?
Yeah, when you get in, the safety bar comes down and locks in place
And when does it normally release?
at the end of the ride.
And is there any other way to release the safety bar?
There is a safety lever that will release the safety bar on the side of the mining car.
Do you know what side that lever is on?
It was on Miss Park's side.
And once you're in the car, did you ever hear the defendant say anything to Miss Park?
Yeah, when the ride started, I heard the defendant, Mr. Holt, say, "I got you now," to Miss Park.
And after the defendant stated, "I've got you now," did he do anything else?
He reached over her.
And that's in the direction of the safety lever?
Yeah.
Okay, and did Miss Park say anything in reaction to this?
Objection, hearsay?
Your Honor, assuming we're outside the presence of the jury, this statement is not hearsay because
Well, assume outside the presence of the jury, what am I going to hear?
you're going to hear this witness state that he heard Miss Park shout, "Get the hell away from that, what are you doing?"
Okay. Why is that not hearsay, or is it? But maybe it needs an exception.
While this is hearsay, it comes in as an exception to hearsay because it's an excited utterance. It was made, it was a statement made to explain the event that was occurring, which was the defendant reaching across towards the safety release lever, and it was made under the stress of the excitement of that event happening.
Seems reasonable, counsel. Do you disagree?
Well, yes, but not legally.
Overruled.
And what did you hear Miss Park say as a reaction to the defendant reaching over for the lever?
She said, like, "What the hell are you doing? Like, get away from that."
And when was this happening?
This is right before we were going into the first loop of the roller coaster.
And after you went up the first loop, what happened?
Well, Josephine fell.
Mr. Burbank, you mentioned that the defendant was aware the board was going to call for his seat. Did the defendant ever say anything threatening about Ms. Park in the lawsuit?
Well, one time at work, I was in the bathroom, and I heard him talk about the lawsuit.
And when was this?
It was about a week before the incident.
And what did you hear the defendant say?
I heard him say it wasn't long before that ungrateful little bitch pays for embarrassing me in public. She's never going to get a dime from me because this case isn't going to trial.
No further questions, Your Honor. You were Ms. Park's boss, isn't that true?
That's correct, yeah.
And you hired Ms. Park as an intern?
Correct.
And she was a junior animator that reported directly to you?
Yes, she did. Yeah.
And you guys became very close together, isn't that true?
We had a close relationship, yes.
And you started to date Ms. Park, isn't that true?
Yes, we did date.
And you dated for several months, isn't that true?
Yes, we dated for several months, very good months.
And after a while, Ms. Park broke up with you, isn't that true?
We mutually decided to end the relationship.
And are you sure about that?
I'm very sure, and in my statement, I said that as well too. We both decided it was in our best interest to not continue the relationship further.
And you gave a statement prior to trial today?
I did, yes.
Can you read lines 14 through 17, starting with one day?
Are you asking him to read it out loud?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
One day, where Josephine accused me of sharing a private photo that she sent with she sent me with our coworkers. I told her that I didn't do it, and she didn't believe me. We broke up, and Josephine started acting weird. She started to avoid me around the office, and eventually started rumors about me sexually harassing her.
That's enough. Thank you.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask that that be stricken, as it was not contradictory to what you said.
Yeah, so what was your question that he didn't give you the answer? Assuming I was on the presence of the jury, what did you ask him that he didn't give you the answer for?
That Ms. Park broke up with him.
And
He said that we broke up mutually.
Just because they have a fight doesn't mean they broke up.
is that what it says, we broke up mutually?
It doesn't say they broke up mutually, it just says we broke up. And then she started acting weird towards him and accusing him of sexual harassment.
I'm not sure if it's inconsistent, but it was the defendant's statement, so I want to know that.
That's where you should go. Just saying.
All right, and Ms. Park filed a sexual harassment lawsuit against you, isn't that true?
That is correct, yes, yes.
And it was because you sent a photo around, a suggested photo of her around the office, isn't that true?
No, as I said in my statement, I never sent the photo around to anyone.
And you also continued to grab her breasts at work, isn't that true?
No, also, those accusations.
You never directly apologized for sexual harassment, did you?
No, I apologize for what Josephine had gone through.
And this lawsuit upset you, isn't that true?
It was slightly upsetting,
And you
yes.
made threatening statements regarding Ms. Park to other employees, isn't that true?
I don't remember doing that. I think that it's in the eye of the beholder.
And you felt betrayed by Ms. Park, isn't that true?
I did say.
And you wanted to fire Ms. Park, isn't that true?
It was something I wanted to do, yes.
And the board of directors wouldn't let you fire her, isn't that true?
The board of directors were not supportive of it.
And instead, the board of directors are going to come for your position at the company, isn't that true?
I don't know that that's the case.
And you were at Willie's Wild West World on June 7th, isn't that true?
I was at the theme park, yes.
And you were in the Lady Mountain roller coaster that day, isn't that true?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I do. I vividly remember that happening.
And you were sitting next to Ms. Park, isn't that true?
I was sitting next to Ms. Park, yes, this is all correct.
And you were wearing a safety harness, isn't that true?
I was wearing a safety harness in conformance with the safety
And
requirements.
you knew Ms. Park was not wearing her safety harness, isn't that true?
Well, as I mentioned, Ms. Park disengaged her safety harness during the course
So
of the
you
ride.
were aware that Ms. Park was not wearing a safety harness, isn't that true?
I think that is what I just said, yes.
And as the roller coaster went through the first loop, you reached over and pulled the lever killing Ms. Park, isn't that true?
No, that's not.
And you stated, I will defend my company to the end, even if it results in violence, isn't that true?
That was in respect to something
No
else.
further questions.